Ever since I beat Thronefall and then subsequently became the world record holder, I've been looking for a new challenge in this tower defense. And then, out of nowhere, the bonus modes were released. None of these seem too interesting to me. That is, except for one. Endless mode. And while it is endless mode, there's a max of like 100 rounds, but still, you get the idea. A lot more rounds than you'd have in your normal gameplay, which would usually be at max around 10 to 15. So I gathered my perks and started building. So I went in with arcane towers, so my towers have more range and damage. Archery skills, so my archers have better range and do faster damage. Range damage, so all range damage done by me or my units is 25% stronger. And then I have both pristine warriors and pristine archers, which basically makes my troops twice as expensive, but they deal 75% more damage and have 75% more health. And since this is endless mode, I kinda plan on capping at gold at some point. I think this temporary nerf will prove valuable in the long run. Finally, I'm ready, and I start on my quest. And now these first few rounds are nothing short of the easiest rounds of Thronefall I've ever played. I don't even have to build anything. Keep in mind, the only thing I have is my longbow with a 25% range damage perk, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing threatening here, which is why I put all my money into farming gold. I build farms, houses, and finally, I get to play a bit defensive, and I build my first troops. And it's a good thing I did because already on round 6, it's starting to look a bit threatening. Luckily, all these enemies that you're seeing right now are coming from the front. There are 3 sides in this map, the north, the west, and the south, which can make it extremely difficult at times if you're getting enemies from every direction at once, especially because you only have so many troops. But for the time being, because we're still in the early matches, this is not too difficult. In fact, this is the first round that I have enemies from all 3 sides, and you could already tell this is not as daunting as it is about to get. But I do want to ensure that the enemies coming from the south don't make it through because I have some strong farms there, so I do increase my defense before facing these enemies from all 3 sides. It does do some damage to my wallet, however, because like I said, all my troops cost double. Of course, because of this, they deal more damage, but it's still no walk in the park. After I have most, if not all, of my gold resources built, I can start focusing on towers. And I'm not maxing out my houses because usually they can only go to tier 2, but in Endless, they can go to tier 3 and it costs like 20 gold for maybe 3 extra gold, but you'll see why that is in a minute. Basically, every round that I start to get enemies from each side of me is beginning to be a struggle, and I almost die a few times here, where my castle gets pretty low on health. However, the rounds where they just come from like 1 or 2 sides are a complete cakewalk. And because of that, I'm able to quickly make it to round 15, which is where it starts to get a bit more intense. You can tell the rounds also just have a lot stronger enemies. Like, these are enemies that during the base game, you only see in the later levels. These are like siege engines being launched at me. And what sucks is a lot of the gold that can be farmed in this map is at the entrance to your castle. So all these farms that I've built are just getting completely demolished, and I'm not getting the resources I need. With that being said, I prioritize my troops, and I'm able to get everything maxed. I even have on this map, there are 3 champion troops, or hero troops, I forget, but I have a fire wing, a mage, and a golem to help me out. The fire wing really comes in clutch because there are a lot of air troops, which is also why the next thing I'm upgrading are my towers, because these are getting outrageous. At this point, walls also become essential, and it's just allocating my gold the right way that's keeping me alive. I really need to make sure I put it towards exactly what I need, and I have to make sure I get as much as I can during these rounds. Even though I get rounds with just like 100 enemies at some points, it's fine if it's just from one direction, but these rounds from all over just completely obliterate me and my gold. I can't defend my farms the way I'd like to. As I start to get my towers to their 2nd tier, I make sure to get a mixture of all 4, so I've got some towers that'll shoot 2 arrows, some towers that'll heal me and my troops, some towers that'll do sniper damage, and some towers that'll do nearby damage. The healing towers are really strong because my troops are basically carrying me, and I need them to stay alive because the respawn just takes forever. If at any point my barracks get destroyed and I can't spawn any more of my troops, I think it's just game over. At this point, I was almost max upgraded, which in this mode you can get a tier 3 upgrade to your castle, which costs 100 gold, but this allows extra benefits. I decided to go for the extra defense, and with every so much gold that you're carrying, you'll get a bonus effect for your troops, making it so that even though we've capped out our buildings, it's still essential to get gold in order to progress. And as I mentioned earlier, I really need my troops to survive, especially because my walls are fully upgraded and they are still breaking through. To get further along, I try saving up my gold rather than upgrading my towers in the middle and just hoping they don't get close to my castle. However, with these elite troops, it just gets so hard. And eventually, I have to face the music. It happens finally on round 48, which, despite the fact that I've been gassing myself up about enemies only coming from one side being easy, this is the round that I lose it all. Just the assortment of troops, the big abominations to take down my walls, the catapults in the back, I just could not handle it. And unfortunately, they reached my castle quite swiftly. But round 48 out of 108, that sounds kind of bad, but it took a long time to get there. That was about 4 hours of my time to get to round 48. So I can't say I'm too disappointed with myself. It would probably take a full 10 hours for me to complete that, if I could, but which clearly I could not. So thank you for watching this video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and take care.